A young German boy, just 11 years old, lies in bed one night, ready to sleep. But through the thin walls of his home, he hears his parents speaking in hushed, terrified voices. His father says, "I think the time has come to end everything for all of us." There's a strange tremble in his voice, one that doesn't belong to a man who once stood firm in his beliefs. He tells his wife, "They'll do to us what we did to the Jews." The boy, Helmut, does nothing. He closes his eyes, swallows the fear, and sleeps. The next day, the family goes on a picnic in the forest. It's unusually calm, almost like a farewell. A few days later, his father shoots himself in his office. Helmut watches, blank-faced, as his father's uniform burns in the family fireplace. And that night, everything changes. For the next 9 years, Helmut refuses to eat a single meal at home, terrified that his own mother might poison him. It sounds like a scene from a psychological thriller, but it isn't fiction. It was the grim reality of post-World War II Germany. Helmut's father had been a supporter of Hitler. Like thousands of others, he believed in the promise of a greater Germany, only to be left with guilt, fear, and a shattered nation. After the war, many former Nazis lived in constant paranoia. What they had done in the name of loyalty had now turned into a death sentence, either through trials or silence. Adolf Hitler, the man who brought an entire continent to its knees, wasn't born a tyrant. He wanted to be a painter, an artist, even a priest at one point. Born in Austria in 1889 to Alois and Clara Hitler, Adolf was their fourth child. His mother adored him, especially after losing multiple children in infancy. But Adolf hated school. He clashed with his authoritarian father and was often beaten. He found solace in drawing, singing in church, and imagining a different future, one far from discipline and war. But tragedy struck early. His younger brother Edmund died of illness, leaving Adolf devastated. That loss shaped him. He became withdrawn, angry, resistant to authority. Twice he applied to art school. Twice he was rejected. His dreams collapsed. Soon after, his mother died too. He was only 18, orphaned, poor, and homeless in Vienna. He sold paintings and did odd jobs just to survive. And during those difficult years, something inside him changed. He grew obsessed with German nationalism. Though born Austrian, he admired Germany and dreamed of its power. Then came World War I, and with it, his chance.
He enlisted in the German army, served bravely, and was even decorated. But when Germany surrendered, Hitler was crushed. He blamed Jews, Marxists, and politicians, anyone but the military. And so began a dangerous ideology, one built not on facts, but on betrayal, bitterness, and racial hatred. After the war, Germany was in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles stripped it of land, pride, and resources. Inflation exploded. Money became worthless. Imagine carrying a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy just a loaf of bread. That was real. With the economy in collapse and trust in democracy fading, the door was wide open for someone like Hitler, someone who promised revival, revenge, and restoration. He joined a fringe political group, transformed it into the Nazi Party, and used charisma, fear, and propaganda to rise. In 1923, he attempted a coup in Munich. It failed. He was jailed. But from his prison cell, he wrote Mein Kampf, a manifesto of hate and ambition. By the early 1930s, Germany had hit rock bottom again, this time due to the global Great Depression. Hitler used it. His speeches electrified crowds. He blamed Jews, communists, and the Weimar Republic. In 1933, he was appointed chancellor. A fire in parliament gave him the excuse to seize full control. Within months, Germany was no longer a democracy. It was his empire. Hitler banned all political opposition, took over the media, rearmed the military, and began reshaping society. Jews were systematically dehumanized. Teachers, children, and even textbooks were recruited into the Nazi worldview. Jews were fired, segregated, and eventually hunted. Entire families were taken from their homes. Many never returned. The final solution had begun: a bureaucratic, industrial-scale genocide. Gas chambers, forced labor, mass graves, 6 million Jews, millions of others, Roma, disabled, political dissidents, slaughtered under a regime that valued only pure Aryan blood. And still, Hitler wanted more. In 1939, he invaded Poland. Britain and France declared war. World War II had begun. At first, he seemed unstoppable. He annexed Austria, crushed France, blitzed London. But then came his fatal mistake, attacking the Soviet Union in 1941. He opened two fronts, one in the east, one in the west. He couldn't win both. Meanwhile, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, pulling the United States into the war. The tide was turning. By 1945, Allied forces were closing in. Hitler's empire was crumbling. Rather than face capture, he retreated to a bunker in Berlin, and on April 30th, 1945, he shot himself. His wife, Eva Braun, took poison beside him. The dictator was dead, but the wounds he left on the world still bleed. Even today, Hitler remains the benchmark of evil. His name is invoked in every conversation about tyranny, genocide, and unchecked power. But perhaps the most chilling truth is this: he didn't take power by force. He was elected. He didn't create hatred. He weaponized what already existed. And he didn't act alone. Millions followed him. History doesn't repeat, people do. And that's why his story must be told again and again and again, so we never forget what happens when fear, hate, and silence win.